everything's in the heat of the moment, I'm thinking about what I need to do in my car and what we need to do to be successful. There's two things that I'm very passionate about. That's my family and my race car. If you mess with either one of them, I'm subject to do something about it.
You keep my daddy out of this loud man.
Jordan!
Why the hell did you do that, Clarence?
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Orange Bumper Podcast.
Here we are, 2026.
Hard to believe, isn't it?
I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised I lived to even see 2026.
Yeah.
I
The older you get, the faster it goes.
I know, isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? I feel like really lucky that we're sitting here because I know how busy you've been.
Yeah, it's been crazy, man.
With the what's the official name of the Sportsman and Modified? Is it
Is it Cookout Classic? That's what it was
Cookout
last year.
Classic.
That's what it was last year.
Yeah. Hopefully we can find somebody that can give us some insight on that. But,
yeah, right.
Where are you right now, like in prep?
We got our chassis back from Ryan Flores at Flow Coating last Wednesday at 6:30.
Okay.
My pistons for my motor shipped out Monday, so we are
In tech inspection, like right around the
yeah,
corner?
it's a week from tomorrow. Okay. So
Late nights, early mornings.
yeah, it has been. You know, we get there in the morning and work till 9:30 at night. But you know, when you're building a brand new car, it's a little different. But if you got a car that you've stripped down and put back together, it's not near as hard because everything's already mounted and, you know, it was mounted and located and whatnot. And all your oil lines are right. So once we have everything we need, it won't be terrible getting it back together. But what's crazy about it is normally as soon as Bowman Gray's over, we take our motors to the school, to UTI, to NASCAR Institute, and then we take our rear ends and transmissions to Buzzies, and then we kind of forget about the stadium cars until April.
Right.
We start working on our smart stuff. Well, with the Clash stuff being 1st February, that has to be done first. So, like, for example, Slate, we ordered pistons, got everything going, and Slate's pistons weren't going to be here in time. So Darryl had to put the old pistons back in the motor for Slate to be able to run the Clash, and then after the Clash, they'll do it. But listen, we're fortunate enough. We are very fortunate to be able to be a part of that weekend. That's big for all of us. Yeah.
That's going to be really fun.
Yeah.
I just hope the weather is good. Last year it was
as long as it's dry, man. The cold I can handle as long as it doesn't rain or snow or something. But yeah.
Well, as far as that weekend goes, is I know you and I have been talking about trying to get season 2 started here. We had a great season 1, kind of, if I'm being honest, exceeded our own expectations.
Yeah, it was cool.
We had some great guests. We had guests that viewers wanted us to get on. We had guests that you and I both wanted to get on. And I remember I called you a couple weeks ago, or like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, hey, man, like, where are you? Are you ready to start a season 2? And you're like, man, no, like, we can't. I don't have time.
I would love to, but it just...
I don't have time. I said, all right. So when we got our guest today lined up, I was like, hey, man, do you have time? I told you it was coming. You were like, what time?
Yeah,
where?
let's do it.
I'll be there. So with that being said, everybody, we'd like to welcome Gray Garrison. If you don't know who Gray Garrison is, then I really don't know what to tell you to help you. His resume is longer than my arm. But Gray is and correct me if I'm wrong with any of this, the president of Winston Speedway, Inc., is that right?
Well, used to be.
Okay.
Used to be.
Is that no longer because NASCAR took over?
Right. Used to be the president promoter of Winston Speedway Incorporated.
Okay.
Correct.
And I commonly refer to him as the Humpy Wheeler of short tracks. I think some people might have referred to Humpy Wheeler as the Gray Garrison of large tracks. But no, I appreciate you taking time out. I know everything's just crazy right now with the Clash, and we want to get into some of that stuff. And in getting ready for this, I reached out to a couple people, and I was like, hey, if you were going to have Gray on, and you didn't have to be the one that got tagged with asking the question, what would you want to ask? I had to charge my phone 3 times.
Okay.
So depending on where this conversation goes is which category of questions I'll kind of bounce back and forth to. But I appreciate you saying, hey, nothing's off the table, man. I got broad shoulders.
It's not, but I need to get a pencil and paper so I can make notes so I can remember this later in the season.
And this is why I'm glad I don't race.
Yeah.
Right? I'm retired.
See, I don't know what he's talking about. I don't have any questions.
Okay.
And he actually doesn't. He actually has no idea. Nobody. Tommy knows a couple of them, but nobody. I purposely don't share them because
I tell you what, there is one question. I'll go ahead and say it because I think you were going to ask it. My wife had a question.
Okay.
She wanted to know, what is your favorite division at Bowman Gray Stadium?
What is my favorite
Yeah,
division?
if you had to pick a favorite division.
I'd say it depends on the race, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the modified long distance. Well, it's kind of like, what's your favorite kid?
Yeah.
What's your favorite child? You know,
Right.
you can't really answer that question. I think it depends on what happens in those races.
Yeah.
You know, sportsman's a tough division.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that they're really good. The modified 100 lappers are really good. Don't know sometimes that the 150 and 200 are just a little bit too long.
Oh, those are my favorite.
Well, see, that's what makes Bowman Gray so
Right.
unique. Everybody has a favorite,
Right.
You know, I really, it's hard to say. You know, it's kind of like, you know, what's your favorite child?
Yeah. That makes sense.
You know, because you know you just love it when a guy has his first win, whatever division it is.
Yeah.
That's what's exciting.
Yeah.
That's what keeps you going. You know, so. I know I danced around that one real good, didn't I?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, but
You know, it is. It's
that
hard,
makes sense.
It's hard to say. Depends on what's happening at that night.
makes
You know,
sense.
and if you talk to the fans, what's your favorite division? They're going to tell you the same thing. They
Yeah.
all have their favorite. They have some connection.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say, but you know, I like them all.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I do too. And I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I've said before, and you've seen me, every chance I get, I go up to the thing and watch the other races because
yeah.
I like watching the
And,
other
and I know
divisions.
I've seen you up there watching the stadium stock 4-cylinders. It's unreal
Oh,
how
yeah.
hard those guys race.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
for sure.
Even for 10th place. how
Well, the
hard it
thing
is.
about what makes, and it's part of your formula, is when you draw for position and you got 15 laps
Yeah.
and you take somebody like AJ draws 20th,
Yep.
he's got to
You know
hustle.
he's coming.
He's got to go.
It's not going
You
to be
got to go,
followable
man.
either. Yeah.
So,
You know he's going to hustle.
yeah. Okay. Well, that was Kim's question. So,
Well, I guess we'll start. We got the Clash coming up,
Yep.
and obviously the Clash is a national, I guess you probably say global
Yeah.
venue now.
Right.
When in a lot of the build up to the Clash has been well documented, and I don't want to kick a dead horse. I think that's the phrase, but I am curious when this discussion started. I would imagine once you realize, all right, like this is happening
Right.
on your drive home, when all the noise is out, are you saying, "Oh my God, what are this? Here we go," or were you really excited about what was coming, or was it a combination of both?
You know, I wasn't surprised when it came. You know, I'm going to go way back in how this all started. And sometimes being a believer, things happen for a reason. You don't know why they happen. You know, you get this platform and it's up to you to make it happen. I'm going to say, actually, this whole thing started probably 10 years ago. Okay. Not literally, but it did. It started back when Ben Kennedy run a K&N race. You know, I get the call from George Silberman, which is Joey Denowitz, his predecessor, and says, "I hear y'all having a K&N race." And I said, "Really?" He said,
Sure we are. Yeah.
Yeah,
you
you sure are.
He said, "Having a K&N." Well, when is the K&N race? You know, that type thing. And I think it's one of those that the platform was laid then, but you don't realize what was
Right.
happening because, you know, Ben came in, Ben had good finishes, Ben won the race. Jim France was there, his mother was there, his grandmother was there. So that was just a gold star that you cannot put on for Bowman Gray.
Yeah.
And you don't realize it at the time. That just put Bowman Gray in another world for them because of such success. Fast forward, you know, 10, 15 years later, whatever it is, and I get a call from NASCAR because they're running the LA Coliseum. They're going to race around a football field.
Man, what a great idea.
Novel idea.
Great idea.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. So if you're going to test for running around a football field tires, where do you go? They called Bowman Gray. So they came out and they did the tire test. And at that point, I've got 3 daughters, and we really didn't have a good succession plan. They weren't too hip on Bowman Gray. I mean, we never went on vacation. We never went anywhere because we race in the summer.
Right.
And when we're through racing, they're back in school. You know, you come home. Back in those days, we had answering machines at the house. You come home, and it's just filled up. I mean, it's filled up with cuss words from A to Z, you know, never ended. And I've said it before, my middle daughter's very vocal. She says, "Can I call them back, please?" I said, "No, you don't need to call them back. It's all good. It's all good." So we didn't have a good succession plan. So, I mean, I'm getting old. I'm real old. So we start thinking, what's the next steps? So I pulled Ben aside that day when we had the tire test. I believe, Bert, I think you were there. It was like a November time frame, you know.
Was that when Tony Stewart and Dale Jr. and all
Yeah,
okay.
I mean,
or
you know.
Clint Boyer or whoever it was.
And I hate I missed that opportunity because that was a golden promotion opportunity. If I'd known what was really paid attention, you know, I could have had all three of them there, you know. But anyway, and I said, you know, Ben, what's y'all's future, you know, with, you know, the Clash? What are you going to do? And we had a little conversation, and I kind of did my dog and pony show and laid it out. You know, here you got Bowman Gray, you got Winston-Salem State with their motorsports program. You know, it's back to history. You want him back to roots and all this. And he just said, yeah. kind of said, okay, yeah, you know, very nice, politely. Just said, yeah, and kind of, you know, was busy, went on. Well, you get a call a month later. You know, let's talk about this a little more. So when that happened, I knew things were lining up. Like I said, the stars lined up actually, because at that point in time, the LA Coliseum contract was up because they're fixing it for the Olympics or whatever they're doing. So they're looking, okay, what's the next logical step? So it just put in play.
Right.
You know, I think divine intervention set the table, but we had to pursue what we were given. And so when they said that and put the clay, I wasn't surprised one bit.
Today I'm showing you why I only trust Citrusafe when it's time to clean up. And when I'm doing a deep clean, I've got the whole Citrusafe lineup ready to go. From our scrubbing pads to our dual handle brushes and our secret grill soap, you have everything you need to keep your grill looking new. So if you love grilling but hate the mess, Citrusafe's got you covered. Available at all major retailers and Amazon.com.
When that started moving forward and the meetings started happening, and with you and your family being there for so long, and for you and your family building up such a just very iconic venue, when those meetings were happening with the upper levels of NASCAR, were you heard, or were you just a listener in the meetings? Like, how much input did you have with a lot of the stuff that?
Well, it was basically one-on-one conversations.
Okay.
Well, we had our side, you know, our family side, and then they had their go-to person on their side. And this negotiation went on for 2 years.
Oh wow. Okay.
It did, and because they were busy. You know, they were doing a new, you know, multi-billion-dollar TV contract. Yeah. I thought I was more important than that, but undoubtedly they didn't think so at that point. So it was a long, drawn-out conversation, and everybody was busy. I get it. And then we got down to crunch time. They had to make the final decision, and I think Joey Dinowitz was hired at that point with NASCAR, and I think that was Joey's job, was to get this deal done. Mm-hmm. So we had a lot of one-on-one conversations. We had a lot of things we had the basics out there, but when you get a big corporation, there's a lot of lawyers and a lot of people involved to pull it together. But it was kind of like us sitting here at the table, and well, I think we want to do this. Okay, well, we need to do this. And if it'd been up to, I think a lot of us, me and Joey, and you know, there was a Scott Prime or Ben, we'd have shook a hand and we'd hand the keys and go on. But they have a lot of accountants and they have a lot of lawyers, and it took a while to get it worked out.
I remember when Joey was here, and he said that I think his first project when he was hired is they said, all right, you got the Clash from Bowman Gray Stadium, and kind of y'all's moniker from there on out was, you know, from the top down, don't screw it up.
Yeah, when we had all the conversations and when we did the final closing thing, as such, he called it closing, Jim France was there, and he said, you know, if they get off track, call me. Don't let them mess it up. Call me. You know, he said, we don't want to change a thing. Right. So if it gets too far in left field, we'll reel it back in. Just reach out. We'll be happy to.
Well, the stadium benefited tremendously, just as far as, you know, some of the upgrades with the Clash coming last year. Did you like seeing the soft walls come in? Did you like the lighting changes?
You know, I'm a purist. You know, a lot of skint knuckles on those things.
Yeah, right.
We're working on guardrail. But, I mean, things change, but it doesn't change the track itself. Yeah. You know, you like to keep things as pure as you can. You know, you can. But the racing surface doesn't change. The fans in the stands haven't changed. Mm-hmm. So if you keep those things in play, I think you'll be okay no matter what you do. Yeah. I mean, you know, if you hit the guardrail or the softer barrier, what difference does it make? You hit a wall.
I will say this.
Are they soft?
No, they're not soft. I think between me and Slate, we tore up more this year than I have in 5 years. Yeah. Because you used to bounce off the guardrail and smash a wheel. Now you're tearing a rack and a spindle, and it's they're stout. They're stout. But I mean, it's the same for everybody. And we talked about, like, how they stick out a little different or how they, you know, and it's like we said, after a couple races, you won't even realize it.
Well, that modified race last year, which was actually the first race, with the losing a couple inches here and whatever. I was really interested to see how the pit road entry worked out because it was just kind of you bear off to the right and you're great, and now it's like you're really getting onto it. But I understand why they did it. We were out there when the engineers were looking at it, and they were saying, NASCAR's number one thing with track design and setup is driver safety.
Yeah, there again, like I say, with the bean counters, the engineers, they're under a much more bigger microscope than we were.
Whenever I was out there that day with the engineers, they actually told me that they call it an Armco barrier. It's a guardrail. That the guardrail would sustain. It would. For the weight of the car and the speed of the car, the guardrail would be enough. But anytime that Cup car comes on the track, it has to have the safer barrier or whatever. That the guardrail would actually do its job.
Sure.
It would just take a lot of work to get them pulled out and all that stuff, and they don't want.
But I mean, like he said though, the lighting and the upgrades and all. I mean, how can you say no to that?
How's the new big digital display scoreboard coming?
They're working on it. I think this week they're having some training of it this week. The panels are going in this week. I guess the framing is up. The metal framing is up. They're putting the final panels on it. Hopefully they'll have it up and running probably next week. They better because it's getting right.
We're 2.5 weeks out. Under 2.5 weeks.
I got a question. What's going to be the difference? Like, what was the reasoning behind putting the new scoreboard or new screen or whatever? Like, what's going to be different about it?
It'll probably be able to do more. Electrical. Computer technology's changed. How much is it changing daily? That scoreboard we had was 15 years old.
Has it been that long?
It's probably been quite a while. And the problem was those things have like little squares of the modules, and they were no longer being made. So when a module went out, it was getting to the close. You can't replace
other than just making it new. Like what do you think will there be anything different? Like will it show replays? That's what people have asked me. Is there going to be replays or anything?
I think it'll have the capability. The thing about the capability of a replay thing, it's not just the board. You got to have the cameras. You got to have someone that can control it to get it on. So it's not as simple as there's a replay. There's a video.
You now have to have an engineer for the scoreboard.
You'll have to have a control board.
Which is a new person, which is another expense, which is...
And the thing about it is I mean, we move pretty quick at Bowman Gray. We move pretty quick. I think probably will be some tie-in with Flow because Flow has the cameras and they have the control board as such. Now, how quickly can they get things up on the board? I don't know. But that's one of the big challenges.
That's one of the questions that a lot of people have asked me. Are they going to show replays?
Well, how do you feel with Flow coming on board? I mean, I feel like everybody loves Flow because it gives you the opportunity to, watch something that you love when you can't be there. But is that a love-hate relationship? I mean, have you seen an effect with attendance because of Flow? And has that been counteracted with other benefits?
I think we have seen, I still say we, I think it has had an effect on the attendance because you get the days it's cloudy, it's getting ready to rain or something, it's 100 degrees out. People, say, well, let's just stay at home and watch it. Yeah. And I'm seeing more and more watch parties. They're like a bar or something will say, we're having the Bowman Gray watch party. Some people just get together in the neighborhood and have the watch party and grill out and, big screen TVs. And I think I'm seeing a lot of that. The kids can run play and the parents can sit there and watch the flow, the racing thing. So I think it has had an effect on it. There's always positives. I think the positive is it's brought it out into the country, more awareness, out into the whole United States, more of what it was. You had the TV shows that gave people a taste of it, of what it was, but Flow gives you the weekly thing to show that it is real, that Madhouse wasn't,
right.
It wasn't, all faked up and all. And this is happening on Flow, the same situations, people running down the track and jumping on windshields and stuff.
It happens. As a national brand with Citrusafe and a lot of the different brands that come out of this building, for us, we like it because it helps promote our brand nationally on a weekly basis.
Sure.
And we were talking about attendance. And so the Dean Smith Center holds roughly 20,000 people.
Okay.
Carolina's the number one attendance in college basketball, followed just behind it at Rupp Arena with Kentucky.
Right.
Bowman Gray is not that far behind with average attendance. And when you talk about having a crown jewel, other promoters have got to want to know what the secret sauce is. Like, how do you do that?
You know, I think the big secret sauce is just let people be people. Let emotions do emotions. You try to keep them corralled just a little bit, and you may entice them to do something. You don't really say go do this, but you ask them, well, why aren't you doing something?
I've heard you say what you do is you create the environment for them to have to make decisions. You don't make the decisions for them.
Exactly.
But you might help the scenario to put them in a position to have to make a situation or a decision they might not be comfortable with.
Absolutely. I mean, we do that with the chews or the cone, as we call it. We've been doing that, 30 years?
That originated at the stadium, didn't it?
I don't know, but there's really no new ideas. It's just reinvented ideas to make it adapted to your thing. So we've been doing it forever and ever. And I'm not telling you have to go inside or outside, but I hear spotters, who's doing what's on the inside, who's on the outside, what's going on. I'm making you make a decision on what to do. Same thing with the fans challenge. I'm not telling you to go to the rear. I'm giving you that option to make you do something that outside the comfort zone. And that's the same way with the lower divisions with the draw. I mean, they have to start playing the points game and the psychological game is, as Bert says, 15 laps to get to the front. How are we going to get there? So, I'm going to put you in that position to think. I don't want you to go out there and just ride around in a circle.
Right.
Hey everybody, it's Devin from New Again, and today I'm going to show you a different way you can use our rust remover kit. As you can see, there is some surface rust right here on this table saw. Someone left a jug that had some water on it, or some water just got trapped underneath the jug, creating an outline, or whatever this is, of surface rust. So first we're going to take our soapy water, we're going to get rid of any contaminants, any loose particles on the surface. Then we're going to take our gel, we're going to apply it to the surface, let it spread out. Then we're going to take our applicator pad and we're going to actually agitate it a little bit, try and get it in there a little bit deeper if we can. So the key point is just making sure that everything's covered with this gel. Then we're going to let it sit for a little bit. So after you see that the rust has been removed, we're going to wipe it down, we're going to rinse it, we're going to dry it and see what it looks like. And these are the results. You can find New Again in the grilling section at Home Depot or online at homedepot.com.
And I'm sure you've had other opportunities to leave what you do and go replicate it somewhere else with a job opportunity. If you went to a struggling track, what would be some of your top ideas? And I understand it depends on where the track's failing. Is it car count? Is it entertainment value? Is it whatever? What would you like your top 3, 4, 5 things that you would look at first to identify? All right, this is how we right the ship.
I think a lot of it is a lot more. I see some tracks. The biggest thing is at Bowman Gray, we're not going to give you a break in action. In other words, we're starting at 8 o'clock. We have a deadline, which is a good thing because it makes us push. When one and Bert or the other people have been in the victory circle, now comes the next division, wherever an engines, and you can't even talk. I think that's the big thing is people want things to go. But now there's a double-edged sword with that is because we don't get any of the concession revenue. So we don't care if we take, other tracks want to take the break and make you go to the concessions and buy something.
I hadn't thought about that.
So that's another, that's a double-edged sword. That's their game is they make it on concessions.
Same reason we go to a certain track and there's 9 divisions and we run last.
Yeah.
To keep everybody there all night.
Keep everybody there to buy concessions.
Yeah.
So I think that's the big thing. In today's society, people want instantaneous results. They look at it on their phone. They want instant results. And the same thing there to keep the younger people occupied. You better keep something going.
Yeah.
You better keep it rolling. You got to keep it going. And then I think with the stadium too is we to keep you entertained with running our double races. You modified. If it modifies your favorite, you watch it. Then you may go do a little something. But that second race, you got to come back and watch it. So there's something all through the whole night that keeps you going. I know I'm not really answering your question, but every track has its personality. You got to figure out that track's personality. what those people want, what the drivers want. And it's really a big circle. You know, it's got to be all inclusive and everybody involved. Like at Bowman Gray, I'm going to take a good example. Davy Jewelers, okay? You know, bless their heart, they've had some family health issues, but Davy was a good example. There was something in it for the fans because we gave away $1,000 diamond ring to a fan, okay? Something for the drivers. I mean, I think, Bert, you've won
I've won it several times.
You know, the $1,000 diamond ring.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was something in it for the track because we got a little bit of money or a credit also. So it's a win, win, win. So everybody has to get something out of the deals. I mean, you know, we could go out and at Bowman Gray and we could sell 1,000 sponsorships, hang a sign up, be done with it. But that's not what works.
That's not showmanship.
It's not. You're not invested.
Yeah,
you're not invested. Citrusafe can go out and sponsor things, a lot of little things, you know. But the ones that Citrusafe is more invested in, such as the racing program, that's probably the ones they're getting the more dividends from. Is the ones they're invested in.
Right.
You know, if you hang a sign up at, you know, I don't know, a Little League ball game, you probably get some residuals out of it. But when you're really invested, the sponsors really invested, the drivers and the fans, everybody's invested, then it's kind of a win-win-win. And that's what a good scenario is.
What, with Bert and Tim running the cup race last year, did you feel like that really helped Bowman Gray? I mean, I know it's kind of a stupid question. Obviously it did, but when you heard that those guys were running, what were your thoughts? I mean, were you?
I was happy for them. I was happy for them. I think it was a bucket list for them, and I think the fans really, you know, wanted to see them do well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think they did. And on the flip side of things is I know Bert and Tim both had to work really hard to get sponsorship dollars to make that work. Mm-hmm. And I'm a little selfish because I want them to spend their dollars at Bowman Gray. I mean, you know,
that's your job.
I mean, in a good way. I mean, you know, I hated to see somebody go out and spend their whole budget and then not come race Bowman Gray.
Right.
They did come race Bowman Gray. Yeah. But, you know, that took some out of the Bowman Gray coffers. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they did. So, but and the overall picture, it was good. It was good for them. It was good for Bowman Gray. It was good for NASCAR. I think it was good for Fox because I think they had something to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, you can't talk about racing around a football field so many times, especially with so many of those drivers having never been there. Right. I mean, I guess that could be a story in and of itself, but I felt like you and Tim both got a lot of good attention, as you should have. And I think it was cool because I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, the first time that the Cup had basically said, "Hey, let's let a couple of these local guys in here see what they can do." And you know, I felt like you did really well. I mean, you were moving forward and passing cars, and I don't know that you would have made the show.
It was going good until it wasn't.
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, you're facing the right way one second and facing the wrong way the second. But you know, it was cool to me when you got in the truck and you were riding around, and of course Ricky's still on the track, to see all of the Bowman Gray faithful be faithful.
Absolutely.
You know, and I'm sure there were some people
I think there was a lot of anti-Burt Myers fans that were probably swayed.
Yeah.
Just because of the situation. Yeah.
But I remember where I was standing when all that happened, and I just happened to look up and I was like, that's a lot of salutes. That's a lot of single finger salutes right there. Holy cow. But that's part of what makes a place.
Yeah, you know.
It's the personality of the place.
It is, and that's something I wish NASCAR could have done a little more in depth. Not better, but in depth. I think they should, if they could have played off it better. I mean, you know, this year at Bowman Gray, I would have done a small commercial with Ricky and Bert walking around the track. You know? And you know, a little verbal like that, I mean, that would raise some eyebrows.
Yeah.
That would have got some attention.
You never can tell. Right?
Yeah, there's always tomorrow.
Yeah, I understand.
There's always tomorrow.
I understand.
Odd question, but what's the worst idea you've ever tried to implement that you look back and you're like, that was just not a good idea?
A sack race.
A sack race.
A sack race. We did a sack race where we put somebody driving the car with a sack over their head where they couldn't see. And we put somebody in the back.
When was this? I don't remember this.
You were going to tell me, like, you're holding it up and you're hopping around the track.
I don't remember this. How long? When was this?
And he didn't even have to think about it. Like, that was immediate. Like, he immediately knew which one.
It was Kyle, it's been a long time ago. We put a driver with a sack over his head driving, and we put a guy in the back seat telling him how to drive. And I never will forget, I was standing in infield when this happened, and then Billy Duggins, I don't know if you remember Billy Duggins, he was driving, and Michael Clifton was in the back seat trying to tell him how to drive. And of course, all they did was get in and push it to the floor wide open.
Hold it wide open.
And Michael was laughing so hard he couldn't tell him how to drive. And he came in and he hit we used to have the big scoreboard in the infield.
Yeah.
And he hit that scoreboard wide open in that car, and that scoreboard was doing this. And I thought, this is not going to be good. This is not going to be good.
I don't remember that. That must have been, golly.
There's an argument that there's a lot of drivers out there that probably still think they're in that race like today, the way they drive.
Yeah. But that was the
I don't remember that.
It was exciting. I mean, we did
I bet.
I
it was
guarantee
very
it.
exciting. The fans loved it, but it was just, I don't know. It just, if you could have got them to think a little bit, but asking a race driver to think.
Just observe my silence on that whole comment. So with the Clash last year and the Clash upcoming, your relationship with NASCAR, do you feel like they listen to you or do they hear you? Big difference.
Yeah, it's a big difference. They listen, but their hands are tied. In other words, they've got so many corporate ladders they have to go up.
Yeah.
And when you get into the social media or this like stuff, they don't like to have negativity on their things, on any of their sites or anything. Whereas, I'm back to the answer machine, lay it on me. I don't care. I got broad shoulders, And if you ever check out the Bowman Gray social media, it's a fire fest.
Isn't it?
Yeah. I don't get on it, but I understand it is.
People send me stuff and I'm like,
yeah, but
who ties their shoes in the morning?
Yeah, but the NASCAR thing is they have to have credibility to sponsors. They have to have credibility to manufacturers and stuff. So they can't be the wild west like we were before.
Right.
Well, we're in such a litigious society that
That's
unfortunately,
a big word.
Yeah, I know. I practiced it all the way down here.
Wow.
I know.
Can you spell it?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I was afraid you were going to ask me that. But everybody's just afraid of getting sued, and not that you aren't, but I've always appreciated the fact that, you're pretty much like, hey, if you want to act stupid, there's consequences, but have at it. And that kind of leads me to when, as far as on the weekly series and you being the would it be fair to say you run the show as opposed to like who calls the race or who, like after a caution, who's in charge of putting people back in order? Are you a part of that, or are you elsewhere, or you choose not to answer?
No, I'll answer. I don't have a problem answering that. I think it's kind of like, we're in the middle of football season. I'm going to use a football example. Okay. You have a coach, okay? And I kind of look at it as like I'm the coach, and I've got Robert Pettit, which is the offensive coordinator, and I've got Jimmy Brown, the defensive coordinator. They'll call what they'll see, but I'm looking at both sides of the fence to try to keep them, focus on what you got. But this is happening over here. So when something happened, let's say something happened, Robert will call the caution, and then we turn Jimmy Brown loose, the best in the business.
Absolutely.
And Jimmy will check the track, and I'm saying, Jimmy, are we good? We good? Let me know what you think. We got to get rolling. He said, let's go home. And then we go back at it. So I let them do their job.
Right.
I let them do their job. But if things start to get out of kilter and they need to get more together, like Jimmy's focusing on cleaning the track, and I'm on Robert, all right, we've got 5 to go. We've got to get going. We can't burn laps. So we'll say, Jimmy, we got to go. We'll pull them together at that point. So that's kind of the way we operate, is we got the offense and we got the defense, and you got the coach back there just trying to help both of them do the very best they can. So they don't run over top of each other. You turn Jimmy loose, he's not going to go.
He's like a spinning top.
Right.
Like you just cut him loose and watch him go.
And if it's not safe, he says, I can't do it. I can't do it. But I want him to be aware of the whole situation.
I think Jimmy and his crew are one of the biggest attributes that you guys have. When the guardrails were there and somebody would ride the guardrail, had to get bent back out, they're on it. Everybody knows what they need to do. I mean, I've seen them clean up a massive amount of speedy dry off the backstretch a couple years ago that somehow I don't know how it's
Fell from the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in no time, track's ready to go.
Sure.
And I that was one thing that I wanted to make a point to talk about today is just how good those guys are. Because, flying the drone at cars races and smart tour, one of the things that drives me crazy are these just outrageously long cautions. Mm-hmm. And there are some at the stadium.
Sure.
Sure. And like this past year, it seemed like there was a lot of bitching and moaning about, when the caution came out, where I was running as opposed to where I got put. Why don't we have transponders? Or why don't they have transponders? We have transponders.
One good thing can cause another problem. Okay, I've seen a lot of the situations, and Bert can tell you this: track's blocked, you cut across the grass, you didn't get picked up by the transponder, and you're back same spot. Because the transponders, if you can, the only way transponders would work is if you had one at the start-finish line, and if the caution come out, then you would revert back to the last lap. Okay, I'm racing and somebody beat on the back of my car and finally got around to me. Well, most people have teammates. Cause a caution. Got
That doesn't happen, does it?
We revert back to the next.
I hadn't thought about that.
You caused the caution, reverted back to the previous lap. And
I've never liked that anyway. If I work a guy and I pass him coming out of two, the caution comes out. And then they put him back in front of me.
And you've seen that happen many times.
I've never been a fan of that. But at the same time, the other scenario, it seems like I'm the victim a lot.
Well, you probably.
It seems like I'm.
Well, every driver says that they're the victim.
I know,
they're the victim.
I know.
They're the victim. But I think all in all, it works out pretty good. It does. It works out pretty good. You're going to lose one once in a while.
I'd like to see
but you'll gain one once in a while.
I'd like to see another good set of eyes up there. I think that might.
Well, we got 4 people doing it, and the thing of it is,
you need 8 then.
But you and your spotters kind of see things from your angle sometimes. But it works out. I know you feel like you're not being the best at that moment, but look at your championship record.
Yeah, I know.
It hadn't beat you down too much.
No, it hadn't. But there's look what could have been though is the way I can look at that too. Like last year with the whole losing a lap in the pits deal when they,
that could have been. Well, we all learned from that one.
We did.
We all learned from that one.
But and obviously, I can relate back and point out a lot of things that I feel like I didn't get put back in the right spot.
Sure.
That because it's personal for me.
Sure.
But like I said, every driver's probably got that same story.
They do. But back to your question about transponders, it's not as easy as just putting a transponder on, because how many times have you cut through the infield?
Yeah.
The one thing before, if you still have to do it by hand, because I've seen Bert and Tim come out of turn 4 last lap, hook up with each other, go through the grass, and never wasn't even on the track.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Not even on the track, and so you wouldn't have been picked up.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even be picked up by the transponders.
I don't know. I think maybe if you had the transponders and you keep doing it the way you're doing it, but have a transponder as a fallback.
Yeah.
But
we looked at them, and I was really hoping there was a device that was in play, and I don't even know what happened to it. I kept tired of waiting on it. There was one that worked off GPS. You didn't have to have loops.
For a small fee, I know somebody that could put a drone up over the infield and send a live feed, and you could just pause and replay it back. Small fee.
But how quick could you get it back to us?
Live?
But you still got to have somebody to.
I'll get Matt Dillner trained up.
Yeah, well, you still have to have somebody, call NASCAR. But
you said that right.
They had ones. Golf courses now have the golf carts to tell you how far you are from the hole.
Yeah,
the GPS, and that's what we're really hoping, because the GPS would carry you through the pits. It would carry you anywhere you want to go.
Right.
Hit the button, you're frozen. So, but that technology's coming. It'll be there. It'll get there. May not be when I'm there, but I think that technology will be there. But you still got to have a backup.
Yeah,
I don't care what you do.
The
scoring, I agree to that.
When I reached out to some of the folks that I know and trust that wouldn't just be a victim when I asked them, and it seems like the 2 big things that the drivers and some of the sponsors gripes had were the scoring when a caution comes out, and then and I'm not really involved in the sportsman culture very much, just because my association, with Bert. But I learned real quick, they're hot that they only get one motor choice with sportsmen. And according to them, There's no rhyme or reason for it.
I haven't heard that.
So I got that from the first 4.
So they can only say, I don't know. They can only run one.
So apparently,
engine?
like you guys
With
can
crate
run.
motor.
But but is it like when you say one engine, you mean
Like
like the
apparently-
Chevrolet?
Yeah, like
They can only run
like-
the Chevrolet?
And Ford doesn't have one.
Why, doesn't Dodge have one?
Dodge has one, but this is going to be the last year you can run the Dodge.
Okay. So it's not this year, it's next year.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
more or less
okay.
this next year. But I mean,
Okay.
sometimes you got to save a driver from himself.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. I mean, sometimes you got to. You've got the ones you're probably talking, the ones that have bigger budgets.
It's about half and half. Yeah.
Yeah. But sometimes you've got the haves and the have-nots, and you've got to merge those two together to keep an equal balance.
Yeah, I can see that.
And how are you going to keep an equal balance unless you just do the same thing? Well, I mean, that's the same thing. I mean, everybody can start griping. You only got one tire to use. I mean,
Yeah.
what's the difference? You've got one tire. So you're trying to save them money. They won't save it because,
They're going to spend it, right?
yeah, you buy this, $7,000 motor. They were griping that I'm going to have to go buy a new $7,000 602 motor. Tell them what it cost you, Bert.
Yeah, right.
Why would you complain about a $7,000 motor?
Right.
Well, then they say, well, I got to take and spend $7,000 on it to make it legal. I mean, how is that my fault, that you have to do that, So it sometimes you have to give them the rules, let them figure out what they can do in the rules. It's our job to keep them pretty equal in those rules.
That's a great segue into my next question. And you brought up tires.
Yeah.
So one of the things Bowman Gray has always been infamous for are tires, tire technicians, call them whatever you want to.
Mm-hmm.
So this past year, and just so happens to be a sportsman, everything kind of ran as usual, and then all of a sudden the hard brakes came on, and everybody was getting teched, and which I think a lot of people liked. And this is just my personal question. I might just be the ignorant one here. Why is tire soaking not just allowed?
Well, tire soaking is a never-ending battle. Okay. Probably I don't know if your dad's ever sat there and really talked to you about tire soaking. I mean, back in the day, they had people that were using all kinds of very, very harmful chemicals. I mean, they were using embalming fluid. They were using.
I've heard that.
They were using elevator oil and grease to do it. And I mean, there was some way out there stuff that they were doing, and a lot of it was hazardous. And, all of a sudden, the Winston-Salem Journal at that point, the journal was coming up, said, all these people said they're getting sick in the stands from your tires, Gray. What are you going to do about it?
God. Back to the litigious.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, how many times are you going to use that today?
I just like it, man.
Is that on your computer screen where you can just see?
No,
Flashes?
I was watching Judge Judy yesterday, and I heard her say it, and so I Googled it, and I was like, podcast.
There you
my
go.
goodness.
But and there was a lot of environmental things going on, and so we had to really clamp it. It was worse back then than it is today.
I remember when I was young, I don't remember how old I was younger, and the SOP was you took a new set of tires, you went over on Saturday morning, you went out, ran 2 laps, you come in, you stack them up, and you spray them down right there in the pits, and it was just it was allowed.
Right. It was just
And
part of the culture.
I remember Daddy, Junior, and all of them. 2 laps, you stack them up, and that was what you did.
Yeah.
I remember those
And
days.
then, but when you started getting into the environmental thing, I mean, everybody's going to complain about something. So and a lot of that was coming back from, well, okay, I'm a Junior Miller fan, and Gary Myers is soaking his tires and it's killing me. Those type things. So we've kind of I know you say it just like boom happened all of a sudden this year, but it didn't happen all of a sudden. We've had to rule up on the board, and it states in the rule book, NASCAR rule book, they do have a rule book. It states in there that you cannot,
But the ink's never dry.
but you cannot alter tires. I mean, you can't do it. And have we kind of let it go? Maybe so. Maybe we're at fault for not putting the brakes on soon. But what we did was we said, okay, this is coming, gentlemen. This is coming. This is coming. This is going to be happening in a few weeks. We're letting you know.
All right.
And then the same thing with the motor tech situation. It kind of got to the point that our officials, Rick Hunter, great job. Johnny Murphy, all of the officials, Rob, all of them do a great job. He said, man, I can't keep up with this what they're doing to these motors. And I said, well, what do you want to do, Rick? He says, well, I want to get a stock rod and piston, and I want to go to the driver's meeting, and I want to lay it down and tell everybody, in a few weeks, gentlemen, this is what I'm expecting of you, because this is what the rule book says. So he went to the driver's meeting, laid it down, held it up, showed them this is what the rule book says. This is a stock product, what your motor's supposed to have. Now, I'm going to be looking for this in the future. I'm just letting you know. So he didn't come back next week and throw the hammer down. It was about 3 weeks later he came back and said, okay, gentlemen, it's time we do look at these. And the same thing with the tire situation. We told everybody, all right, let's slow down on these tires. This is what's going to be coming. So, I mean, you got professional tire guys over there.
Mm-hmm. Make a living.
I've seen guys win and get out and thank their tire guy.
Yeah. I mean, I think they got a microwave now. They put tires in.
Oh, I don't. I know go-karts have like a heater box or something.
Heat box, and it.
And there is a rumor. Well, it's not a rumor. There's a competitor in one of the divisions that I've
watched.
They have a in their toolbox. They have a cabinet in their toolbox that they'll put the right front tire. Before qualifying, they put their tire in this toolbox box. It's like what you're talking about. It kind of heats it up.
Yeah. But then again, you look.
And that's not legal, correct?
It's altering a tire.
Okay. Yeah. I was just curious.
Is that litigious?
But I'm gonna have to work it in there sometime.
But you know what? I guarantee you, when he leaves here today in a meeting or something, he's going to use that word because he knows what it means. He's going to use it, and he's not going to give me credit. That's all right.
Now, what do you think those drivers are going to say if I say that in driver's meeting?
Yeah, right.
This is what they're going to do.
Oh, what does that mean?
Ain't no way I spelled that right anyway.
No, but I mean, we've got a handful of officials that do a great job, but there's 100 of y'all.
Yeah.
At the stadium, there's 100 of you.
Yeah.
And then again, I mean, what would if you put Citrusafe on the tire? What would it do? I'm sure you've tried it.
No, I've never put any Citrusafe on a tire.
It cleans the fire out of it. I mean,
I've said for
cleans
years,
the entire race car, cleans the whole thing like you have never seen before.
I bet it would.
Yeah.
I'll be putting in for a raise tomorrow, Tommy.
I've said for years, like when we first started Smart back up, and they were limited on their resources. They didn't have many officials. And you got 20, 25 cars, and you got 3 or 4 officials. And that's what I told Chris. I said, in my opinion, just from what I've seen over the years, make sure, and I'd like to see this at the stadium, but I know logistically, and people have to be in a certain spot because of teammates or friends or whatever. Put every car, every modified, door to door to door to door to door. Don't spread them out because your neighbor is your best policeman.
Yeah, I agree.
And people, and I'll be the first to tell you, that's exactly why we moved a couple years ago.
Absolutely, I get it.
Tim watches me, and I watch Tim.
Yeah, and
to me, hey,
and then you moved better, and your dad liked that spot.
Yeah, because he can see now. Yeah, they can get on the back door and all that and see. But to me, that was Tim was complaining about me, and I was complaining about Tim. And I said, you know what? Let's just fix this problem. And I'll be the first to tell you that's why we moved.
Yeah,
we didn't move just solely so we could watch Tim Brown. We moved to solve a problem.
Sure. To
solve a problem. And I feel like it had to help. But
then again, you go back to Bowman Gray, tires and parking and all those things. But do you want it sterile? Do you want it completely sterile where everything, exactly what's going to happen, when it's going to happen?
No.
I mean, do you want it so black and white that there's no gray area to have fun? To try to do something?
No pun intended. In the gray area. I've heard that before. I mean, I get what you're saying. That's
litigious.
Yeah, that was very litigious. I know what you're saying, and I get it because, I've said for years, I'll be the first advocate that Bowman Gray has been so successful because of the entertainment value. Mm-hmm. I get it.
Right, yeah.
But at the same time, as a racer, I want to know what the rules are and be the same for everybody. And then let me play the game. And sometimes it feels like the rules are so gray sometimes that it's just like, all right, you remember last year when I came to you and I said, what are the rules? And you said, we go by the NASCAR Welding rule book. Except for when we see. And I said, what are those rules?
Yeah.
And so, are you scared?
Y'all go ahead.
No, we're good.
So
we're good.
Go right ahead.
My question is all right, if this is the book we're going by, then I want to know if there's something outside of this book, I need to know what it is. Mm-hmm. And we kind of did a
back and forth
till we kind of narrowed it down.
We did.
But that's all I've ever wanted to know is I don't care what the rule is. Yeah. Just tell me so I know.
Yeah.
Just like I told you with the fiberglass top. Per the NASCAR rule book, you can't run a fiberglass top. I didn't want to win the race one night and then check my top. Oh, it's fiberglass, and this rule book says you can't have fiberglass. I didn't want to get in trouble for something I didn't know I was doing wrong.
I understand that.
So that's what I want. But I get what you're saying about you don't want it
so sterile.
You don't want it like Cup. Let's be honest.
Well, in some
Let's
cases,
be honest.
I mean, you asked the question earlier, what would you change at a lot of other tracks? And as a driver, you want to qualify on the pole, you want to lead every lap, and you want to win the race. Now, that's real exciting, isn't it?
Well, it goes right back to the beginning of our conversation. The two races that fans are not crazy about is the 200 and the 150. And I told you those are my two favorites.
Sure.
Because you start where you qualify, and it's a long enough race that driver and setup comes into play.
It does.
Those are my two favorite.
Yeah.
And somebody, I've sat on the pole and won the race, a 200 lapper, and fans of mine, man, that race was kind of boring. Not to me, it wasn't.
Sure.
Right.
I loved it.
Sure. Yeah, and I think that's one of those things that we try to do is we want the excitement factor there. All right, let me ask you this. Which is more rewarding? I'm supposed to be answering the question. I'm going to ask a question.
Okay, let's see. Yeah.
Okay,
shoot.
what is more rewarding to you, sit on the pole, lead every lap and win the race, or in a 100-lapper, let's say you draw 20th and you pass 20 cars and you win that race, and you drove your heart out? Which is more fulfilling?
It's more exciting to do the 100 lap. Excuse me, because I've done it. I've started last in a 100 lapper and won the race.
Absolutely.
So it is more rewarding.
Exactly.
But at the same time, before the race starts, when you're looking at risk versus reward, you'd a whole lot rather start on the pole.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
But just like you said, though, if you have the opportunity or you put your hand in that bag and that opportunity is there to start in the back, if you can make it back to the front and win the race, yes, that is more rewarding.
Yeah, and that's what I'm
It
saying.
is.
And sometimes when things are more rewarding, they're more entertaining.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the fans would much rather see you start 20th and pass this guy, pass that guy. We need a caution. I don't hear it, but I can just hear it. And we need a caution. So you can pass, choose this, and strategically work your way to the front with that choose inside, outside, passing cars, making this up. Who's in front of me? There's just so much going on, and that's rewarding to you. Now, on my end, what's rewarding to me is Bowman Gray. I'm prejudiced. Go to another track in the country. When that caution comes out and there's a choose, the whole fan stand.
Mm-hmm.
You can watch the whole stadium stands. And, as running races, that's your job. Make people stand. Make people feel something.
Mm-hmm.
Get into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's, we have the same situation. It's more rewarding to us to see those things.
All right. Well, let me give you another scenario from
Yeah.
my perspective.
Sure.
I qualify on the pole. I draw 22nd.
Yep.
And I make it back to 7th. That sucks.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by risk versus reward.
I understand
If
that.
the rare occasion that you do win the race from a 100 lapper starting
right.
in the rear, but when you don't get back to the front, then you're upset that, man, I qualified on the pole.
Yeah. But
So-
it makes that win so much sweeter. When you
Let me ask you
it makes
this.
it so much sweeter when you do.
Yeah, but man, it doesn't happen near as often unless
But it's when you do, it's so much sweeter.
It does.
So let me ask you this. To his question about would you rather start on the pole or come from the back and win the race? What is more, and I hope I'm not throwing shade on anybody, what's more exciting to you? Coming from the back and winning a race at Bowman Gray or winning another series race somewhere else?
That's a tough question. I think that would be better suited for someone that hasn't been racing for 30 years. Because I've been blessed to be able to win.
That's a lot of dancing there.
Yeah. Well, no,
Y'all need to have a law firm
I've been
together.
blessed to be able to win a lot of races at Bowman Gray and a lot of championships, and I've won at other places too. So they're all special, and they're all so hard to. And
Is it still as sweet to win?
yeah, in different ways, in the same way as you
Like
love
what
your
you do-
children.
Yeah.
It really is. Like when you qualify on the pole and win a 25 lapper at the stadium, there is satisfaction in the fact that it's so hard to qualify on the pole at Bowman Gray, especially with the format going out by points.
Right.
Tire draw, if you got a bad draw and you got the tires that's been in the back front of the truck for weeks. I mean, there's a lot of variables. So if you can qualify on the pole, win a race, a 25 lapper at Bowman Gray, there's that satisfaction of that side of it. But at the same time, I go to Dominion and win a smart race. I haven't won at Dominion. So it depends on where you're at. If you go to Caraway and win a smart race, yeah, that's hard to do. And it's fulfilling. But at the same time, I've been fortunate enough to win a lot of races at Caraway. So that's not just a yes or no black and white question. And I'm not meaning to dance. I don't know exactly how to answer that directly.
Which is your favorite division?
Well, no, I mean,
the same question to me. I get it.
There's in the moment. Let me put it this way: in the moment, probably Bowman Gray because of the atmosphere, and then the you can't hear yourself on the PA system, and feels like hundreds of people standing there and hugging you, and I throw the water, and the in the moment at the atmosphere. But like I said, if I were to go to Dominion or somewhere that I haven't won at, man, that would be amazing too. So,
and I'm sure circumstances like you're behind in the points, and I really needed that win, and I got that win. I needed this. Right. That's why I say it's not just a black and white question. I'm not meaning to dance. I'm really not. That's a hard question to answer directly.
All right. Well, let's see how much dancing Gray can do on this one. So last year with Sportsman, there were we kind of talked about rules issues, whatever. And then there were a couple drivers that had a lot more refusals to tear down than others. And then going into the Cookout
Classic,
thank you. One of them's being allowed to compete, and one of them's not. And I was wondering why both of them weren't prohibited, or
I want to hear this.
How's that? How's that come?
I'm not sure I understand your whole question there.
I'm trying not to name names.
I know what you're saying. I kind of know what you're saying. So you're saying two people did the same.
Towards the end of the year, they both refused teardowns. Towards the end of the year.
Okay.
And going into the classic, one of them's being allowed to race, one of them's not.
Okay. All right. There's more behind that than just looking at it from the outside looking in. The one gentleman, everybody knows his name, but I'm not going to call it out. What happened is they refused tear down 2 weeks in a row, and we basically said, when you come back before you are allowed to race at Bowman Gray Stadium again, we're going to pull the bottom end, oil pan. We're going to check crank, rods, pistons. We're doing a pretty thorough inspection. Then we're going to check the top end for his cam. So you're going to get raked pretty hard when you come back. Both people came back. One person came back, and they had a motor that was not in their car. It was on the stand. Here, check my motor. Check it. This was on a Saturday morning. We had two officials there, very limited staff. They checked the motor. It had the right bottom end, top end, all this stuff. Officials went to check the other one, and at that point in time, they took that motor, put it in a van, got another motor out of the van, and put it in their car. And they said, "Oh, I promise you." And the official said, "That's not the motor we checked." And he said, "Yes, it is." Well, the other one was covered with grease, and this one's really clean. He said, "Well, we washed it off." Well, there's nothing on the ground. How'd you wash it off? And he said, "This is the same motor." He says, "If you let me race this motor tonight, after the race, you can tear it completely down, every nut, bolt. I'll do anything in the world you want to do. You can check it after the race." Okay, we did. All right. So they win the race. Afterwards, they loaded the car up and wouldn't let us check it.
Couple more steps. How's it going? Are you me? Yeah, I'm you from the future. Well, hold on, let me shoot this deer real quick. Yeah, that deer's gonna wind you because you didn't use your limit shield. Told you so. Anyway, I got a jet. Just remember to use your limit shield. Oh yeah, and if Mike asks you to go to Tijuana, don't go.
So that's a different scenario. That kind of goes to a totally different scenario.
Well, and I'm glad I asked that question because, and I don't know all the drama and everything I hear, but there's always a story that's out there.
Sure,
it's about 10% accurate, and I think it's only fair, for the legit story to be told to clear the air. And to your point, like before we started, straight from the horse's mouth, like you don't dodge questions.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate that. That puts a lot of people's.
And that was and the officials felt like to back up the officials that put their heart and soul to inspecting these things, that something had to happen.
Well, a rule's not a rule unless it's enforced.
Exactly.
I mean, let's be honest.
You come from law enforcement, you hear all kinds of stories. There's 20,000 stories in the truth.
Yeah.
So the situations were not the same. That's why one's racing and one's not.
Fair enough. Along those same lines, he doesn't know I'm going to ask this, and this is, believe it or not, social media world's not going to believe this. This is a chaps my ass question.
Okay.
When you have somebody on the track that you know is waiting for somebody, any division doesn't matter. Why are there not more severe penalties for that?
There's different situations. Not every situation is the same. Now, when you say severe penalties, a lot of times we see that we start with those caution out, we black flag them, try to get them off the track. We know what's happening. Try to do that situation. That's happened. Every situation's really different. I mean, you got some people out there they just don't think. And then you got some people that probably rightly deserve to have somebody come back and call them out on it.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
I mean, there's some situations where a guy just runs right through somebody intentionally, and then that guy says, well, I can't take that because he's going to continue to run through me every week. So you have to let him settle it his way. It'll never be settled. I can try to police drivers, and I can try to control them until they say an issue's done. It's not going to be done. You know.
So you kind of feel like it's letting them self-police each other?
Exactly. In some cases, yes.
Well, when that happens and it finally gets to the point, and we asked Joey Denowitz this, like, at what point does something go from the local track to NASCAR? And Joey was like, you don't want it to get to me. Like, local guys do a great job of handling it themselves. Mm-hmm. So when it's still at your level and you're trying to police this, and I've seen you sit numerous drivers down from different divisions that have beefs or whatever, and I have no idea what goes on behind the scenes. Maybe you can tell me because you've been in several of them.
You try to settle it. You do.
What happens when one or both of those drivers just don't respect what you're trying to accomplish and just go off on their own?
Well, it gets to that point that I think you try to get them to see the other person's side. Now, sometimes they're not, but I think a lot of it is if you can get people to talk situations out, it'll cure 90% of it. It will, because you get to get in there and you get to say your side. You get to say your side. You yell and scream at each other. But a lot of times, okay, it's over with. And, you'll say, "Are you good? Yeah. Are you good? Yeah. Can y'all race? Yeah, we can race." And a lot of times you do, and sometimes you don't. There's that time out there you don't. Bird's been on both sides of that fence where we've got it worked out, no problem. We talked about it and went on. Sometimes it doesn't. You keep trying to enforce it, and we've had the situation where we've set people out more so in the last couple of years than we have in previous years.
I would not, and I spent a lot of time doing conflict resolution and trying to de-escalate and all that crap. For me, it was a lot easier to just go hands-on, which obviously you can't do in your position. I would not want your job having to, because I hear some of the arguments that people make for why they did something. And what they're arguing about, what they just did or what was just done to them, they just did to somebody else the week before.
Exactly.
But now all of a sudden they're the victim.
Exactly.
And now they feel like it needs attention.
Yeah.
And I had something to follow up to that.
Like I said back before, sometimes if a guy just continues to run through people, we're in our position, we can't say, he says, well, he brake checked me, he brake checked me, he brake checked me. And you can tell pretty much when he does. But if he continues, sometimes another competitor has to call him out on it and let him know, we're not going to take this anymore.
Right.
You have to put the line in the sand, that I'm not going to take it anymore. And you have to let them do that before it's ever really settled.
And at the same time, from a promoter's standpoint, if I'm you and you've got two drivers that are beefing, I'm sitting there thinking, man, if they get into it this week, that's ticket sales next week. I'm serious. Like, if I'm a promoter,
I'm laughing because I agree with you.
I'm not gonna stoke the fire, but I'm gonna try and.
That's the old promoter saying, isn't it? Whatever happens this week sells tickets next.
I'm gonna try and set the boundaries so everybody knows we're not gonna bounce.
I've seen y'all's podcast before. Y'all say, "Well, that's Bowman Gray."
That's Bowman Gray,
and it is. I mean, there's some things that the only way to explain it is just by saying, that's
well, my thing, I can relate to both situations. So back in the old Junior Miller days.
Yeah.
And when it was on national TV, me backing up, ramming into Junior, And
or Tim or
don't.
I know.
That was a different.
I know. Go ahead.
But anyway, the deal with Junior is Junior had just kept taking me out. And to your thing is, like I've always said, when you're in the playground and a bully pushes you down 4 days in a row, you eventually got to punch him in the face. And that's kind of what happened on that situation. Other times that I've been sitting down, and this year was one of the times, is when a certain driver thought it went a certain way, and all the video and everything showed to me and to most people that it was just racing. Mm-hmm. And then he comes into the field house and basically says he's going to get me. And he did. And nothing was done about it. As a driver, that kind of bothers me. And then I find out later through the grapevine that he really wasn't that mad, but his sponsor said, you need to exploit this.
The worst part of that.
And I heard that from an inside source.
The worst part of that, one, it probably had a big effect on championship points, but there were a lot of other cars that got torn up.
A bunch of cars got tore up that night. I've always listened to you talk about respect among your peers and respect with who you race with. And here's the deal. I'll be the first to tell you, this was probably going to go in my book, but I'll go ahead and tell it. There was a year that I don't know if I had to finish right behind Tim or right in front of Tim. I don't remember what it was. And we were coming, I don't know if we were on the white flag lap. I think we're on the white flag lap. And it was Tim, John Smith, and me. And when we got to turn 3, I was against John, and I pushed them both in the fence. And I went on and I won the championship. After the race we celebrated, and the whole 9 yards after the race was over, as I'm walking out, I stopped at John Smith's truck. I said, John, I had to do what I had to do to win that championship. You were an innocent bystander, and I know you owe me one. 2 or 3 years later, John Smith stuffed me on the last race of the year. And you know what I did? I went over and I said, John, I had it coming. That's the attitude I wish people would have.
Yeah.
Okay. Have I done things that I'm not proud of? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I really feel like, and it depends on what side of the fence you're on. You watch a Duke-Carolina game, the Carolina fan's going to see it one way, the Duke fan's going to see it the other way. It's that simple.
And as a promoter, I don't need to get in the middle of that.
Maybe not. Not.
Yeah,
in that situation, you should.
Should I have said, well, Bert, I'm going to deduct points from you for wrecking us about last night?
Right. In that situation, it handled itself. And I think we both handled it correctly.
Most of them do handle themselves.
But at the same time, whenever, every situation's unique, and I get that.
Yeah.
But I wish people would handle it that way. And I've always said, like what Carson did to me at Tri-County. Mm-hmm. Okay. He ran me up the track, and then I got back and I was passing him again, and he ran me up the track again. I didn't wait on him. I didn't try to catch him in the parking lot. But next time it's a reverse situation, he knows it's coming. Yeah. He said he knew it was coming.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to make it a life's mission to do it. And I think a lot of guys get carried away, especially newbies that come into Bowman Gray that haven't spent their whole lives there, that don't understand how it should work.
They don't
and they come in,
and
then their sponsor puts a big sign up on the side of the highway, and they feel like they're important all of a sudden. They feel like they have to react. And I think that's what happens a lot of times. And just like with the Madhouse show, what did we get, $5,000 to do the Madhouse show because of the big promises that they were going to promise us later?
The residual later.
Right. Well, when the next show came in, we asked for more money. My justification for that was, you're creating an environment to entice a guy to react and tear up my race car. If I can't outrun him, I'll just run into him and I'll get on TV. So we asked for more money to cover some of that residual.
And that's good business.
And I think that a lot of guys that haven't grown up at Bowman Gray, and I mean, it's nobody's fault because you either grew up there or you didn't.
Right.
But a lot of guys that haven't grown up at Bowman Gray that don't understand how it should work. And the way I was when I was younger, I was a knucklehead. I ran over people and I knocked people out of the way, and I got paid back for it. But I learned from it.
Yeah.
But I think if it's just a racing incident and you move me or you knock me out of the way, my main concern is next time it's the other way around and it happens, don't be mad.
Right.
I've talked about it on here. Brandon Ward, the first race of the year last year. He had on fresh tires, going into turn 3 on the white flag lap. and knocked me out of the way. And I went to the scales and I congratulated him. I said, next time it's the other way around. We're cool, right? And then when I beat him, it was actually my 100th win. And we were cool. We were cool because that's the way it should be.
But I don't need to get involved with
You
it.
do not. In situations like that, you do not.
And that's where it's a delicate balance on my
It is
end.
a balance.
What do
And
I
I've
do?
told you before, I wouldn't want your job because
You know.
it's babysitting a lot of times. You're babysitting.
Yeah.
And, sometimes you got the older brother that's got a little sense, and then you got the adolescent that doesn't want to listen to anybody.
And it's
hard to manage that.
And it's a different world now, too, because of the computer and the keyboards.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they just amplify things
Absolutely.
10,000 times because you can get on there. And people that don't have a dog in the fight are the ones that's causing the problem.
What was it? The quote, the ones that know the least say the most.
Yeah, I can see that.
The ones that say the least know the least say the most. Yeah.
What was your biggest driver blow up? Argument, disagreement?
With me?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've had a couple. I think I've crossed paths with Junior Miller. I
heard Junior threaten to burn your house down one time.
Yeah, several. I've had several people.
I heard that. I didn't know if it was true or not.
The only time I've ever really got mad, we were standing on the old field house one day, and something happened to Junior. He did something which is totally out there, and I didn't let him qualify, I think, or something. And Junior, he reared back. He had his fist, and he reared back, and Puddin called his hand. Puddin Swisher called his arm. And Puddin says, Junior, you just need to go on. So Junior turned around and walked off. That didn't bother me because I've learned to duck.
Right.
I'm short anyway.
Right.
Uppercut, I had a problem. But I think the only time I really got upset was, I'm not going to say who it was, but they said they know where my kids go to school.
Ooh.
Yeah,
And that crossed the line.
That's crossing the line.
That crossed the line. I think that's the one time I really got upset because they said they knew where my kids got to school.
Yeah.
And I've had people say that, I'm going to be sitting in your driveway when you get home. And I tell the missus, she's driving the pace car home. I said, if you see a car,
keep driving.
You go by the house. I got this old Buick, and I'm hitting the driveway 100 miles an hour. And I said, I'm going to crash it right there in our driveway.
Yep.
If you see it sitting in the driveway, you go past, dial 911 because it's getting ready to go down.
Blunderbuss is
I
coming
tell
to the
people
Garrison house.
Gray's like a roadhouse. When he's got the convertible Mercedes parked in the shed with
Right.
the cover over it,
Right.
and then he drives the old busted up car because he knows somebody might bust a windshield out of it.
I do have spare tires in the trunk.
I guarantee it.
And I have had all 4 tires cut before.
Golly.
Yeah, I have had all 4 tires.
What is wrong with people?
Multiple times.
There's been times that I wanted to wring your neck, but I didn't like
Yeah.
it.
You
Just never crosses
There's
your
a
mind.
mutual respect there. You know what I mean? It's like whether you're in the wrong or not. I told you growing up as a knucklehead and as a young guy and speeding on the highway and cutting up and doing things I shouldn't do. I hated state troopers. I hated them. But if I got pulled over, you know what I did? Yes, sir. No, sir. You know what? Because there's a respect there.
Yeah.
There's a respect there. Now, I'm thinking something else, but at the same time, and we've had arguments, but we've never
I've had tires cut, antennas get broke off all the time, other thing, and that's one reason.
It is like Roadhouse. I told
Dalton.
you.
Dalton.
And that's the reason I pull right in the middle of the pits and park and I say, "Have at it." There it is. Have at it.
Fair enough, man.
It's right there in front. It's right there in front of the world.
I love that.
And I do. And I park. You notice I park where everybody can see it. Right there. Have at it. But it deflects people because everybody's watching me walk by Gray's car.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not as easy.
Told
to,
you the best police is your neighbor.
get down and cut his tires in front of everybody, but sitting back out in the parking lot is hard to do.
Yeah, cameras and stuff out now.
When you have twin races, whether it's I think Sportsman and Modified are the only two that will race twice a night, right?
Correct.
After the race is over, the winner pulls in, and the flag man takes the bag and sticks it inside, and they draw the number.
Mm-hmm.
I heard a bunch of fans, and I used to think this too, say, "Man, how do you know what's in that bag?"
It's a good question, ain't it?
Like how how come it's been so long since somebody's won both of those races? Which got me thinking. I was like, well, and I'm going to try and dissuade your answer from being, time crunch. Let's just say somebody like Citrusafe had a big wheel and it had all the numbers on it. Driver gets out, spins it, and then everybody, God and country, flow, everybody can see where it lands. Is that something y'all would consider doing, or just
It goes back
what
to
happens this week sells tickets next week?
do you want that sterile environment? do you want that thing so sterile, so black and white that there's no curiosity or no unknowns, or do you want it sterile?
I just had like
I mean, that's.
I just
You want
figured
it
all this
sterile.
out. I just figured, dude.
There was one year, and y'all had laundry baskets. I remember there was laundry baskets, upside down laundry baskets, and the driver picked the basket. That happened one year, maybe 1 week, but I remember it happening one time.
I don't remember that.
I remember it happening one time, so I thought I did. Maybe I dreamed it.
Could have been on Smart Tour. I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, they will show you. I'll be the first to tell you. Maybe I shouldn't spoil it for you, but
No, it's fine.
they will show you the chips before you draw.
Okay.
But even knowing that, you don't know how many times
Is the
I
one in there
have
that's
finished
cold?
third, and then Tim have a problem and finish 12th, and then Tim draw the pole. It just, man, and you're like, did that? Wait a minute. But I mean, really, they'll show you the chips. They'll show you the chips.
It kind of goes back to the same situation. It's just karma, whatever you want to call it. It goes back to, two people get into it the week before, and they'll qualify side by side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it just happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
What if you just did transponders just for qualifying? That would be fantastic.
for qualifying?
Yeah, because, man, let's just get it out. So my wife and Jason's wife and nephews and nieces and friends sit right behind the start finish. You know where my family sits. And every week they try to see how close they can get
Okay.
to what our qualifying time is. And there's a lot of times that they'll all have from a 42 to a 46. But then the scoreboard says 28.
Yeah.
That
Well, I wouldn't go by
offers a question
the
to
score,
me.
score
that-
may not be 100%. Now, what we go by, and I've had people do this before, a lot of them complain about it. And I said, sure, come up here and watch. I have no problem somebody come up there sitting there and watch. Because it's pretty black and white. That is very sterile.
Is it an individual with a stopwatch?
We have,
or is it?
It's electronic.
There's a timer. I mean,
There's
I-
electronic.
Well,
eye.
I'll tell you the story I heard. There's electronic scoring.
What you heard.
What I heard. That's what I said. What I heard. There's electronic scoring.
Okay.
We see the little light thing out there. And then I heard there's two stopwatches going at the same time. And you take an average of the two if the scoring doesn't pick up. That's not true?
No. We have stopwatches going, backup, redundancy, backup. But that is electronic eye. If you ever notice when they set it up, they go out there and they set it up and they take their hand and then hit it again, it cuts off. So that is just a digital electronic eye. You can't mess with it or anything. And when they do that, someone writes that time down immediately, and then someone's sitting there with this transferring what is that time into.
But somebody
miles per
has to
hour.
key it in to put it on the scoreboard.
Yeah, now that could fall apart. I'm not going to say that's 100%. Maybe that will probably get.
So, like, when
But that's not the official time. That's not what's on the board's not the official time. What they do is when they did those, they got index cards, and when your time crosses it, whatever it is, 12,
but
38,
somebody's writing it down on an index card.
they write it down on an index card, and then they stack.
So, like, when I'm texting somebody and it
they
says,
stack those up right there, right then and
and
there.
it changes it to duck because I hit it with the fat finger.
Okay. You want it sterile or not? That's probably
just saying,
That
so,
is
like-
probably. I mean, that is straight up. That is just straight up. And you're welcome to come up and look at it. I have no problem with that.
Well, I'm a little busy at that point.
Well, I mean, Philip can come up and look at it and verify, and he can look at the numbers in the bag
Fair
while he's
enough.
up there.
All right.
I have
No,
no
I
problem.
do. I have. They
No,
have.
I didn't-
They
I'm
have
not-
showed me the numbers in the bag. They have showed.
I'm not accusing you of being dirty. Don't get me wrong. Like just over the years, I've been going there for 45
just like,
years
look,
and helping him for 16 now.
Think about how long my family's been going there and listen to the story that I heard was the two stopwatches and the whole. And you said no, that's
and that's
not
what
true.
that's why I'm so glad to have you here.
And I feel like
is
I'm
just be able
kind
to
of
say-
in the circle, so that's good to
Yeah.
hear it. So
Yeah.
You know what? A couple minutes ago, he was talking about something and it hit me. Like I know he's a businessman and like owns 3/4 of the county he lives in. He used to be in the CIA.
really,
Have to. The
he has to. Oh, I was gonna
the way
say,
he
what?
danced, the way he dances around.
Oh, he's
stuff
good.
And,
Oh, yeah.
And like
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
hey, should we take that leader of the foreign country out? Well, do you want the country to be
yeah.
I don't know.
Trying to
What do
make
you think?
America great again? Or not?
Yeah, like doesn't answer a question, but throws it back on you.
Oh, I know.
5 years from now, where do you see NASCAR as a whole? Like everywhere from local tracks all the way up to Cup. Do you think NASCAR's in a place where they're rebuilding, or do you feel like they need to get some things changed?
I think there again, social media things. I think what's came about lately, any person that hasn't said something or done something, had a thought process about something, it's kind of like what the Bible says, the ant sin cast the first stones. Okay. I think that with today's media things, that things are brought more to a spotlight, and people you can take one word like what is, and you can just intensify on that, until you can blow that one word up to make it what you want it to be. I think NASCAR, NASCAR's tough, man. It's a tough business. I mean, it's like piranhas eating at them. Everybody wants a piece of them. Everybody wants a piece of this, and you've got the France family, which is good because they do what they do. This over here, they're kind of like the coach. And then you had Mr. Phelps and O'Donnell, offense, defense. You got these people over here doing the thing. And so it is really, the way it was set up is good. It's good because not everybody has total control as such. They do, but they don't. But they work together. And it's kind of like Bowman Gray and a small thing. Now, going back to your question, has it outgrown what it is today? Maybe. I don't know. There's just so many more nuances than I know there. I think probably they may, I've been saying for years they may merge with another media company. They may get some people that can take them to the next level. I mean, how can, NASCAR wants to continue to grow. I don't think NASCAR's hit its peak yet. I really don't. I think there's a lot more room out there. I think they will maybe take a strategic partner that can take them to the next level, whether that be, worldwide, out of the country or whatever. I think that they are always looking at those options. I think will they continue to be involved with weekly? I think so, because I think that's a soft spot in Jim France's heart. Bowman Gray's a soft spot. Like I say, we got the gold star when they all showed up at Bowman Gray, and I mean, you couldn't have wrote that script any better than Ben winning at Bowman Gray, where they, Betty Jane France was Miss Bowman Gray. You cannot script it any better. Yeah. So I think they have that soft spot in their heart to continue to do weekly racing. Will there be changes? Yeah, there's going to be changes. There is anything. If you don't change, you're going backwards.
Yeah. Well, after the Clash this year, and I don't know that they've said the Clash is coming back in 27, but will Bowman Gray host any of the upper touring series?
I'm not privy to those conversations. That's my big word, privy to the. But
that's not a litigious word, so you're good.
Okay. I think they will. I think they'll do something. I know in their agreement they told the city in the scoreboard agreement, which is on the press, and this is press is what I've just heard. They agreed to bring a touring series back for 3 years.
Okay.
Now what that series is, I don't know.
Right.
Modified tour, I don't know. Truck, O'Reilly's.
Truck race would be a good race there, I think.
Yeah.
I think so too.
ARCA would be good too.
What is that?
ARCA.
That was K&N.
That was K&N. Yeah, at the time it was.
I thought that was a good race.
Yeah.
I mean, I did.
I was surprised how good the Cup race was last year. I thought it was going to be trash, and it was actually a good race.
Once they figured out that they could pass, I would like to see at the Clash more Bowman Gray-esque driving this year. I want to see people get moved. I want to see people, I really want to see the aggression turned up a notch.
I think you will, and I think you can bring any division to Bowman Gray, but you're going to need laps. I mean, the first year, it's kind of like a boxing match. The first year, we were just feeling each other out, filling the track out, figuring out and those drivers didn't know what those cars would do there. And I think they were surprised. Yeah. And I think, the first year, you're filling each other out. The second year, okay, let's do a little more haymakers at each other. And I think the more they did it, the more comfortable they'll be, the more comfortable they'll be with, I can do this now. Yeah. I can do this. I can take that chance and still come back. So I think the more races they have, the better they'll be.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you think or do you know if, because I saw somewhere that some Legends or Bandoleros might be coming to race there, maybe on Friday nights, or maybe
I don't know. I think that's just a social media thing. We ran Legends Bandoleros there on Friday nights one time.
Yeah.
That's a tough division.
I think the Legends there are awesome.
They are, but it's tough. I mean, Bowman Gray has so much expense, rents, personnel, people, and a lot of what follows those divisions, don't get me wrong, are just self-contained. It's just the drivers. You know what I'm saying? They don't have a huge fan following, So I don't know how that would be financially. When we did it financially was not a good thing.
Okay.
It wasn't good.
If you had the city and the school was not in the picture, and you just had Bowman Gray Stadium, what other things would you like to promote there, like concerts or like other kind of racing things, like stick and ball sports? Like, what do you see being advantageous to the city of Winston being held
A
at
football
Bowman Gray
game
Stadium?
while we're racing.
It would have to be the XFL.
Yeah, right.
It would have to be the XFL, or either that or the guys from Jackass TV show.
Yeah.
It, you could probably do a special event once in a while, outside the season. But I think being the short season is the magic of it. You can't afford, as a fan, I can't miss many races because there's not that many.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to go. I mean, there's 18 weeks, and, I've got to go and get my feel. And when football starts in this area, you're done. You're done.
Yeah.
Even if your son's playing, your daughter's cheering in the band or whatever, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, the focus changes to football. And it just does. When high school football starts, look at these tracks that race on Friday night, they're done.
Yeah.
Friday night race, they don't get it.
Yeah.
So I think that is part of the magic of what it is just that short season. You got to go get it, just like the 15 lap. You got to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you do that, every race counts. Every race has a meaning. If you run like some tracks that run 30 a year, you get a couple mulligans.
Yeah.
You can make up. There is no mulligans at Bowman Gray.
Right.
You've got to get it.
Right.
Got to get it. And I think that's the magic. I don't know that I would do anything else. I really don't. There's a couple of things, that you might can run a specialty race or something, like earlier in March or something. Concerts are tough. If you're a promoter and you're going to do a high dollar concert, are you going to do it outside where you think the weather could really affect you and really blow your show? Or are you going to pay the same money and go inside to a controlled climate where you're going to get your show in?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
That's just the thing, is it worth the gamble to do outside, But controlled climate, you don't have to worry about rain, all this stuff. So that's a lot of the situation with concerts and stuff.
Of all the,
Might run a sack race or two.
I'd love to see that. Of all the entertainment things that you do during the race, sometimes you have, parachutists come in, you have the monster trucks, which is always a sellout, chain races, all that. So what's your favorite promotion that you've done outside of the 4 series running, the race?
Outside of the racing, there was a couple years ago, we had the Black Hawk helicopters come in and land.
Yeah.
Parachuters got on it. That was pretty awesome for a weekly racetrack.
I'd like to see that.
It was pretty good. The Black Hawk helicopter landed. Those parachuters jumped on the plane. I know they do it at Charlotte and things like that, but that's they have more resources and stuff.
Still a Black Hawk helicopter coming down in a pretty tight space where everybody's going to feel it and hear it.
That was the thing I got from the kids were just that, like that.
Yeah.
And that was one of those, I can't believe what I just saw. Bowman Gray. Flyovers are pretty cool. Yeah. They do that pretty cool. I like those kind of things, peripheral things. The show kind of takes care of itself. The big thing is you want as a Saturday weekly promoter, you want something to happen every week, somebody to walk out and say, I can't believe what I just saw. Mm-hmm. I cannot, whether it's cars getting into it on the track or I cannot believe what just happened. And then also it's kind of like a soap opera. It's a soap opera. And, soap operas have their cliffhanger Fridays. Mm-hmm. Well, somebody did something. You got to go back Monday and see what happens. Right. That's part of the job too. Is you got to make something happen that week. I got to come back next Saturday to see what's going to happen. What's going to happen. What's going to be the next step. And it's hard to do because you can't just keep going every week. Mm-hmm. But though back to your question, the specialty things, the flyover. One year we did a hot air balloon. That was cool. I don't know if you were there with that. Yeah. We put it was during the tour race, I believe.
I think I remember that.
We took a hot air balloon out there and we put it in the infield and we blew the hot air balloon up right before the national anthem. And when the anthem went, the hot air balloon took off and threw a huge American flag over the side and floated out of the stadium.
I vaguely remember that.
That was pretty cool. Things.
Well,
like
even
that.
when you're scheduling, there's always a special something.
Mm-hmm.
If the modifieds are running twin 25s, then there's a chain race. If the sportsman's running their twins and we got a 100 lapper, there's always like Feels like there's always, in other words, there's never just a plain night where it's our twins, sportsman twins, 15 and 15, and then go home. There's always something.
Well, we'll work hard at that. Back to the entertainment. I still haven't given up on the Citrusafe drone with the flag. I still think we can pull that off. I think we can do it. We need to modify it, but that's we need to think about.
Trust me, we've racked our brains on this. I think I have a solution. We just have to get our hands on a similar but different drone. So
we don't share all this. We'll talk about that one down the road.
Yeah, we had problems with the FAA because we try and do things legally.
Yeah.
But there is a very big drone that's called a lift cart, and it's doesn't have anything to do with agriculture.
Sure.
So it's made to do exactly what we had talked about doing. So
we'll revisit. But back to your question.
If the stadium wants to buy the drone to do it, that'd be the easiest way to do it.
I can buy it, then I can sell the sponsorship to Citrusafe to sponsor it.
I mean, y'all can talk about that after the show. I don't hold the checkbooks.
But like you said, Bert, I mean, we feel like, and I don't think any other track does this that I know of in the country, but we feel like every division needs to have their night in the sun. Mm-hmm. I mean, we run a 50-lap stadium stock, a 50-lap sportsman.
Yeah.
I mean, street, we run the 100-lap sportsman a couple of times. It takes everybody to make this program work. So everybody needs their night that's focused on them.
Yeah.
And that's important to the drivers too. That big race, even this one time a year for the stadium or street, that's a big deal for them.
Well, even just rotating it around so that different classes get to be the first race.
Well, even us in our shop, we say, "What we got this week? Mm-hmm. Oh, we got twins. Well, what else? Oh, it's the 50-lap street stop.
Yeah. And where else do you see a skid plate race?
Right.
Or a chain race.
Right.
Where else do you see it? I mean, there's just not many places that do that. And that's the comfort of the small track, that you can do those type things. Yeah. I mean, because those chain races are pretty fast as they are. I can imagine them on a half mile.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
you can imagine how bad they tear a track up on a half mile.
Well, and I've heard rumors about, like, since they're the last race of the night and they sit up there in the pits and they hang out all night, that they're pretty exciting by the time they're ready to go by the time it's chain ready. I've seen some of them guys when the guardrail was there and we'd be standing up there watching coming out of 4 and have nothing but a regular, just a old football helmet looking thing on and a shoulder belt and come around and the second car would get whipped into the wall. Pow! And that guy come out of the seat and just grinning from ear to ear.
Yeah.
I'm like, y'all must be out of y'all's mind.
They're a different group. They're a different group.
Yeah. Suicide jockeys.
You gotta have them.
Yes, suicide jockeys.
Oh, I don't know if it's something that you got, and I know most of it.
I got most of my stuff.
All right, so I know most of it, but I'd like for other people to hear it. So when we came in, you were talking about the poster.
Yeah.
France Hawkins.
Yeah.
Tell us where you fit into the Eloise and Joe and where tell people. Yeah, it's your family, but tell people where do you fall into that?
Okay, I am third generation. Okay, my grandfather was Alvin Hawkins. Okay, at that point in time, and my mother was one of 6 kids. So at that point in time, my mother told me these stories. Like Alvin Hawkins was he promoted races. Him and Bill France. Promoted races in North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, dirt tracks mainly is what they did promoting those point in times. And how they got hooked up to Bowman Gray was, everybody's probably heard the story. I'll repeat it just in case you don't know. A promoter came in, it used to be a trotter track for horses, trotter. And this promoter came in, paved the track, and part of the deal was he was going to pay the city back for paving it, but he took the money and ran off with it. So the city had this bill. What do? We'll call this Hawkins and France guy. They promote races. And the story was, I was told that he went over to that and I said, racing's not going to work on pavement. We're wasting our time. It's never going to work. Because everything was dirt.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So they tried it and it worked and been racing there ever since. And pavement's done pretty good.
Yeah, right.
Did I hear that after the first race, it paid for the paving?
Probably. It could have.
I thought
it could have. At one time, I know that. I was small on a lot of these stories. But anyway, it goes to Hawkins in France. They did buy a piece of land down near Fayetteville, Highway 1, I believe it is. Built this track, and they paid for it the first race.
Maybe that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's why
what
I got paid for everything. And then the following week, some kids broke in there and one got killed, and they never run another race there.
Wow.
That's insane.
Never ran another race. But I remember my thing was we used to do, we run the races on Saturday night, and my job was to ride around with my grandfather. I was small, 6, 7 years old. And I learned this from him because he had a Cadillac in the off season, but during the race season, he drove an old Ford pickup from Dixie tractor truck.
He comes back naturally over here.
And he
see
would
where it's coming from.
He would stop at the coal and ice place. You could buy a 50-pound bag of ice and these 5 or 6 brown bags of ice, paper, thick, and a case of beer, and we stuck it in that. And I'd ride around, and he'd snap. I'd crawl out the window, get him beer, and come right back in. That was my job. That was that was my job. Those things. And then when they run the dirt tracks, they had rock salt. They would put in the water to get into the dirt to keep dust down.
Oh, okay.
So back in those days, we would, and then we'd become, after the races on Sunday, we all go to a grandfather's and make homemade ice cream, go down to the barn, get rock salt, put rock salt in the ice, and we used the leftover ice he had from Saturday night. Yeah. And that's what, and we listened to MRN. Every Saturday, that's what we did.
Yeah.
Every Sunday, that's what we did. So anyway, we went from my grandfather, and my uncle was Joe Hawkins. He was the only male in the family of the 6 siblings, and they ran that for forever and a day. I think he may have passed away in 85, maybe, something like that.
I remember, I've heard stories, but I remember Eloise.
That's my grandmother.
That was your grandma. And I don't know that I remember Joe.
Okay, probably not. Well, Joe
But in 85, I was, middle of the year, 85, I was only 9 years old.
Yeah,
so.
And at that point in time, it was my grandmother, and then I have another Uncle Dale Penless and Johnny Penless, aunt and uncle. And when Joe passed, we were kind of elevated up a little bit. And I think my grandmother really thought about getting rid of Bowman Gray. A lot of years she wanted to get rid of it because it wasn't making money. I mean, racing in general was not making money in the 80s, 70s, and 80s. It just wasn't, and then when Bill France started Daytona things, he wanted my grandfather. They lived with my mother's family on Country Club Road here in Winston-Salem. They lived with them. My mother babysitted Jim France because they would live here in the summer, promote races, and then France would go to Florida and do the speed trials on the beach. And he decided to build those Daytona and the other tracks and wanted my grandfather to go with him. But, I mean, he had 6 kids, and racing was not a living back then.
Yeah.
It was not a living. You lived from, paycheck to paycheck. And so he stayed here and kept Bowman Gray going, and France went and did his thing, and he's pretty successful at it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what catapulted them, the weekly track at Bowman Gray was kind of the same way as the cup level. It didn't really flourish until Winston got involved. Yeah. That's when the cup level took off. They got into weekly, and then weekly elevated it himself too, and it started doing better at the weekly show. So when my uncle died, it was my grandmother, aunt and uncle. I was, down here, and then when my grandmother died, everybody was kind of elevated up a little bit, another step. Dale, my uncle, got cancer pretty bad. He had some 4-stage cancer, and then I was elevated up to then. That was probably around 2000, somewhere in that range. So I've been at the pointy end of the stick since about 2000. So and that's kind of how we got into it. And like I say, we got into it about selling. My kids didn't, there wasn't a really good succession plan. And, we had the sign from somebody, so we had to take advantage of the sign to kind of, go to the next level of selling it. So racing promoting's tough. It's tough. It's not as easy as everybody thinks.
No, I mean, the more I talk to you, the more I listen, from different things, I always learn something that I never really thought about as, is that something I'd want to do? And more times than not, I'm saying, yeah, he's the right guy for that.
But I mean,
he's the right guy for that.
You work so hard at trying to find the details and stuff. And I mean, like we had, we used to have fireworks. We cut the lights out for fireworks.
Yeah.
I could tell you to the second how long it's going to take that fire light come back on. Cut these off strategically. Cut this side off. Leave this for victory circle. Then shut them down. Yeah. And it takes 5 minutes and 42 seconds for these to come back up to get up to bright. You cut these back on when you go back racing because we have such a time schedule. So,
what's something that you wish fans knew that clearly they don't?
I think the thing of it is, and this is, I'm going to throw this question back to Bert. It's kind of the same thing. We're in racing, but we're at different sides of the fence. Okay. Question to you, Bert. When you got a 100-lap race coming up, do you lay there at night during the week and play that race out in your mind before you go racing?
Mm-mm.
You don't.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No.
You don't think so?
No, because
You don't sit there and go through scenarios, what ifs.
No, I train myself not to.
Okay.
Because as I've said before, if you make a plan and then it changes, then you can get mentally spun out. So I've trained myself to be prepared for whatever happens. So I just get in the car. When the green flag falls, I take it as it comes.
Yeah. But you prepare yourself to what happens. But you think about it because you
I think it has prepared me by going through it.
Okay.
Trial by fire,
Yeah.
I think, is what prepared me.
Well, like me, what I still do to today is I'll lay in bed. Okay, I go through every scenario. What am I going to do if it rains at 6 o'clock? What am I going to do if it rains at 7? What am I going to do at 8? Thinking, okay, how am I going to get qualifying in? If it rains these cars out, what am I going to do the next week? I got to have this next week lined up show. How am I going to take care of these sponsors? But all during the week, you're sitting there, you're mentally figuring out these scenarios because you want to be prepared. Yours are instantaneous responses. Right. Mine are like if I'm sitting there, if it rains, like I'm sitting there this week, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, you got your practice tires. It rains. What am I going to do if it rains right before qualifying? A lot of times we'll drag our feet and not qualify because I don't want you to waste a set of tires.
Right.
Put them back on the truck. I'm sitting there thinking, okay, if it rains after the first race, what am I going to do next week? Am I going to come back and run another 40 lapper or 20 lapper? Or what am I going to flip the schedule? But I got sponsorship obligations. Right. I got to pull in to do the sponsors. So you mentally play through the whole race of that week. What ifs? Because you got the domino effect. If you got this rains out this week, well, next week you got a sponsor. You got obligations to. Okay. So what if you do this and move this back to him? Well, no, he wants a 100-lap race, so I can't just shift the schedule back. I got to figure out the 100-lapper to move him. Okay, then what if it rains out that week? What am I going to do? 2 weeks down the road. You got to be mentally thinking 2 or 3 weeks down the road, what ifs? Because if it happens, everybody's standing there looking at you, what are we doing? You need to have an answer. You got to have an answer right then, right there, because the press everybody wants to be the first, put it on their website, or the press wants to be the first. So you got to have that answer right then, what we're doing, and head in that direction. The officials need to know. Jimmy needs to know. Everybody needs to know what direction we're going right then. You can't sit around saying, "Well, let me think about it."
Yeah.
No, you got to make a call and stand by it.
See, but in my situation, like you said, it's instantaneously. So I don't have the, I wouldn't call it the luxury. I don't have the time to. I don't have time to plan.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I can see that.
I know I'm going to the stadium. I know I've got to be there at 4 o'clock. I know that I get my pit pass. I come in. And then tire draws at 4:30. I go over, I get my tires. We get ready for practice. We qualify. If somewhere in that scenario something changes, then I just handle it as it comes because mine is instantaneous.
Yeah, but
especially on the racetrack.
But you're focused on Burt Myers.
Yes, you're focused on the whole.
I'm focused on 100 competitors,
right?
Thousands of fans,
right?
Sponsors, and that. So
I could see where you would need to.
Yeah.
have a better plan than what I have.
And what's tough about the promoting, if y'all out of time, we can call this off.
Dude, we're fine.
Another thing about the promoting at the races is you try to focus on people. Somebody asked me, what is winning? Okay. Winning has different definitions. Okay. To Burt, winning is winning. Okay. I'm going to say, I don't know, I'm not speaking for Slate, but if the Slate finishes top 3, that's a win.
Yeah.
That's a win, and we've got competitors over there that says, man, what, how you doing? Yeah, good. What do you think we're going to do tonight? He says, no, I just want to finish on the lead lap. On the lead lap. That's a win if that guy can finish on the lead lap, So you got to look at everybody's, where they are, what their goal is, and how can you help them achieve their goal, okay? You got a lower division guy, you go up to him, you talk to him, how'd it go this week? Man, I cut down 2 tires, and I've only got 1 tire left. Only got 1 tire. And I said, well, can you do it? He says, man, I'm working 2 jobs. My mother-in-law's living with us. She's got cancer. I got 2 kids. And he says, I just got 1 tire. I said, I don't think I'll be back. So what do? You go through the pit, start acting, hey, you got an extra tire?
Yeah.
You got an extra tire?
Yeah.
You call up Freeman, you got an extra tire? Mm-hmm. And, you get that guy a tire. Mm-hmm. And everybody says, well, why do you do that? If he can't afford to race, why don't you just let him go home?
That's if they're asking that question, they're missing the point.
Yeah, well, but the thing of it is, that's that guy's only outlet.
Yeah.
That's his only, he gets away from the sickness in the family. He gets away from the 2 jobs. Mm-hmm. He gets away from the new shoes, the braces on the teeth, the house payment, the car payment. That's his only outlet. So your job is to get him back in that car where he has that moment to be somebody and keep himself
he drowns noise out. I mean, that's his quiet space.
Yeah.
You had mentioned rain. Have you ever looked at getting like a cover for the track, like a baseball field has? I know it's a significant investment, but I would think on ticket sales that you'd recoup it pretty quick.
Yeah. You sit around and dream. You think, okay, can I take wires across here and tie cables and do a tarp? Not a roof, but a tarp. Can I do this? Okay, then how am I going to get the noise out? How am I going to get car emissions of the smoke? And
I mean, just if it's...
one thing leads to... You think about all these scenarios, but it's not as simple as just a roof.
Well, no, I'm
one thing about Bowman Gray, too, is with the new drainage,
Yeah.
obviously, was big.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's such a small track. Like, think about how long it takes to drive Daytona versus how long it takes to drive Bowman Gray.
Yeah.
So...
I mean, you sit around and you think about those things, and you think about Daytona. What would they? Okay, why can't you just take a tube and put it over the track surface and do a tube, a clear glass tube all around? Because it's enclosed.
Yeah, I mean,
You know.
I know rainouts are a pain in the ass for everybody.
They are.
But
it's the beast.
Yeah. I mean, a jet dryer will be pretty cool. But Old Blue's pretty.
Would the jet dryer be good?
Well, we've talked about it. Tell him why. Tell him.
Okay, it's not.
We've talked about this.
It's quit raining there, but it's raining everywhere around you.
Right.
You got 300 people in the stands. Do you really want to dry that track out for those 300 people in the race?
Yeah. You ain't wrong. You ain't wrong.
You know, sometimes it's best just
Let it go.
please rain, please rain, please rain, please rain, because in today's society, they hold the phone up. They know where it's raining.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They know exactly.
I stand down there in the pits, and I'm like, guys, we've got about like 10 minutes.
You know when it's going to rain.
Yeah.
And that's the
David's
thing.
our guy.
Yeah.
Say, David, what's it look like?
Yeah. David Laney Pope.
Yeah.
And if you dry the track out and you got those 500 people in the stands, man, that's tough.
Yeah.
So you better off just take your lickings,
Right.
rain, and go
Makes
on.
sense.
You know.
Makes sense.
You know.
Have I missed
Have I
anything?
bored you that much, Bert?
No, I'm just, man, I've been working. I'm not complaining because it's my choice, but just trying to get everything done. Getting up, getting to the shop, working all day, and getting home and doing it again. And
I get it.
yeah, when I leave here, I got to go get my motor. I got Slate's motor is ready. I got to go to Mooresville and get Slate's motor, and I'm hoping to have his car done minus decals by the end of the weekend, so that when my motor gets here first of the week, get it in and get over to Tech on Friday.
Have you released an entry list for the?
Not yet. We're still getting people on entries.
Are you?
A lot of people.
Well, the only two extras is Labonte and Newman.
Labonte and Newman, they've committed, and then Jonathan Brown's committed to take Joe Robertson.
Yeah, he's okay. Yeah,
in the 69.
So,
Committed to drive that one. So that's all. And then we have 24 cars. Entries list will probably come out this coming week.
But it's basically a top 22 minus
22
Yeah.
in the two provisionals, the Labonte and the Newman. So
I don't think Newman's ever driven at the stadium. That'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. All right. Well,
he's either going to love it or hate it.
You're right. Right.
He's not going to leave there and go, that wasn't too bad.
I don't knowing Ryan the way I do. I don't think he's going to be like Bobby Labonte, where Labonte left and was like, oh, okay. Like, we might have something here. I think Newman's going to be like, oh, well, check that one off the block. All right.
Yeah.
Let's roll on.
depends on his car. I don't know what car he's driving.
Well, if he wins, it'll be the greatest place he's ever raced.
I heard a rumor of the car he was
Daytona.
driving, but it'll be decent. But here, you know yourself. I mean, there's so many variables at the stadium. If Ryan Newman draws the pole, good chance that he could win the race. But I think if Ryan Newman draws middle of the field or back towards the field, who knows? And listen, man, you know how many times I've said, that guy, he's going to this and he's going to that. And then he ends up winning the race or something. So you never know over there, man. And that's one of the things that keeps people coming back is you never know.
Are any current Cup guys running? Like Priest ran last year.
Priest is not running.
not?
No, there's no current ones that they're really just, they're just more obligated and things. So
I get it.
Yeah, the transition's been hard. I hope, the goal is to keep it like it is. I'm kind of a perfectionist on a lot of things. I get real aggravated not because it's not the way I did it, but it was kind of perfection to keep things going in that direction. That's where I'm struggling with is they have to ask before they can do things.
Mm-hmm.
When mine was get it done, get it in line, get it in front of the people know what's going on. Like Bert says, he wants to know what he's going to do, what he's dealing with, not call 20 different people.
Well,
to say,
you're the shot caller. I mean,
Yeah.
at the stadium, you're the shot caller.
Yeah.
And you
and that's what's hard.
have to run it
I'm
up
not
through all the
anymore,
gatekeepers.
so that's hard. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not anymore. That's it's challenging. But I figured I got a few more good years left in me. I'll see.
How old are you?
I'm 66 this year.
Really? I said 63 was my guess, I think is what I said.
66. I think I got 4 or 5 more years.
Yeah.
We'll see where we end up. You know, I'll land on my feet somewhere.
Yeah, right. I mean,
Every show I always ask you, because half the time I don't know what's going to come out of your mouth. You got any news or anything? Anything going to break or anything big?
just
anything going
stay
on?
tuned.
Okay.
Yeah, just stay tuned. There's some exciting stuff going on. Yeah, stay tuned.
Developing?
No,
Oh,
just some exciting stuff that's
okay.
coming up. Yeah.
Well, I look forward to seeing what
tuned.
happens.
I noticed your Citrusafe. He left. I was going to hit him up here, and he left. You was talking about how the clean cars that Citrusafe does. It really does great stuff on grease stuff.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool to have the clean move of the week or something at the stadium. $50.
There ain't
reward.
no such thing. It's a clean move of the week.
Well, I mean, but it could be if a car spun and you missed the car. That's a clean move.
Clean move, I guess.
Hang on. Let me see if I can get him back in here.
I mean, things like that, that's what it takes, Bowman Gray, like the John Barrow Award, just little things like that. Just,
Always hustling.
yeah,
Always hustling. That's
He knew it was coming. That's why he left.
Is that why he left? I
Yeah.
think his phone rang. I think when he
It's
got
all
in there, I
good.
heard him on the phone.
It's all good, though. It is.
Have I missed anything?
No, I don't think so. Like I said, we're just some exciting stuff coming up. I can't talk about too much right now, but excited for the weekend, for the whole weekend.
yeah.
Like I said, it is a challenge doing it this time of year, but we're still blessed to be able to be a part of it. So I'm excited. I'm ready.
Somewhere.
I'm ready.
Somewhere. In
Car's
this
not ready, but I'm ready.
Somewhere in this podcast was some foreshadowing. You probably don't even remember it, but I do. We'll revisit it after a while.
Okay.
As always, we want to thank Citrusafe for Citrusafe Studios. They provide us with a great platform. RaceFanGear.com. I would imagine y'all. Have you had a chance to work on any new designs
We're
or
doing
anything?
there's a new rendering. Mark Joyce and Scotty over there at MJ Graphics are working on a rendering for me and Slate
Okay.
as we speak. To be able to have, I'm glad you mentioned that. So the preview, and Gray, you can help me with this. They're doing the previews at the fairgrounds. Is that right?
Yeah.
On the Friday, the 30th, right before the Friday leading up to the Clash weekend.
It would be the Saturday, the Friday before. Yeah, 31st.
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 30th.
30th. Our Saturday's
Yours
the
is
30th.
30th. You're correct. Yeah.
So it's the 30th
That's
at the
correct,
fairgrounds.
Friday.
And
That's
people, you can stay tuned for, they'll be putting out information. But anyway, we have the preview. We'll have the car there. And I think there's going to be some Q&A, and we'll have our new shirts available there. As soon as we hit, as soon as they're done, obviously we'll have them on racefangear.com. My shirt will be a shirt, a dated shirt just for the weekend. Our Slate shirt will be a year-end running shirt. Because we're doing a little bit of different, our paint scheme should be a little different for the Clash, or the Classic weekend. So yeah, come out and get merchandise on that day. A lot of people hit me up and come to the race shop and get it, or meet somebody and get it. So as soon as we get it ironed out, we'll have it on on the internet.
Still have diecast.
Some. Yeah, it's cool, man. I'm getting a lot of Kim's cousin lives in Florida and was at a mall in Florida and sent Kim a picture of it where she bought one of my diecasts.
That's
at
cool.
some mall in Florida. So yeah, we do still have diecast, the 124 and the 164.
Okay.
And that's on racefangear.com. So yeah. This time, the off season kind of gets tricky because you don't want to be stuck with a lot of inventory.
Right.
But as the season's kind of getting ramped up, we'll have some new stuff on there. And
Yeah, well, that's why I brought it up. Because I didn't know if you had any new stuff.
We definitely
discuss,
will
but-
have a shirt for the Clash weekend. Me and Slate both. So yeah, just stay tuned and pay
easiest thing to
attention
do
for
is
when it's available.
Like and follow, and that way, it's going to pop up on your feed.
Yeah.
So you know when it's on there.
Yep. We'll put it out when it's available.
Gray, again, I want to thank you for taking time
glad
out.
to be here.
I know you're very, very busy, have a lot of irons in the fire, and taking time out to come hang out with us and just, true to your word, nothing off limits. And
Nothing off limits. Hopefully, I answered some of the questions and created more.
Yeah.
well, I learned a lot. I learned
That's
a lot.
the goal, right?
Yeah, create more
Answer
questions.
some and create some more.
Yeah, I learned a lot.
I did too, man. I did too. I mean, it's it's like he said, we both grew up doing this.
Yeah.
We're just on the opposite sides of the fence.
Yeah.
But the respect that I have for him for what he does, and I feel like he respects me and my family for what we do, but it takes everybody to make it work.
Yeah. I got to share this one story before we
All
go.
right. All right.
I remember at Bowman Gray used to be a weird setup in the pits because you would come out of the pits and you would go through one gate and turn and go back through another gate where it looked like the Sportsman is now. And I remember when I was, 13, 14 years old, I got a promotion from parking cars or whatever. Bert used to squat down behind his dad's car as it would go into the pits. He would squat down. His dad would drive really slower than everybody else because Bert was a small guy and little small steps, but he would duck down behind his car as it was going to the gate, and Bert would get in the gate and have to go chase him down, get him out. The next practice, Bert's right back beside the car, just squatting down, trying to get into the pits. And I remember that to this day.
I remember we had actually it's the trailer that I still have, the white trailer. It was Daddy's trailer. So anyway, it was a gooseneck trailer. And we had a curtain in the front up there, and then there was a part up in the top. And I remember the first year, I think Dale, they ran everybody out. I went up there and hid up in the front.
Surely not.
And and pulled the curtain. And then I remember as they were letting everybody back in, I remember Dale stopped Daddy. And he was pointing. I saw him talking and pointing up in there. So Daddy comes in here and said, "You got to get out." And he said, then the next week I did it again. And Dale said, "Gary, we know he's in there. Got to get him out." So yeah, I've been doing that for a while.
I mean,
I did that for a while.
Just bending the rules a little
and there
bit.
could be, I told you, I think I've said it on here before. Hypothetically, I could be 1 year older than I actually am.
Right.
If you go back to the original paperwork.
Right. Well, happy
And I've
most
heard
recent.
several drivers have done that. It's funny because when I told that story, I did that too.
Happy most recent 51st then.
Right. Now you got to have a birth certificate. Yeah. It ain't no getting by with it anymore. You got to have a birth certificate. So
Somebody had to be the pioneer.
yeah, right.
Yeah, but racing at 14 was unheard of too.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's we've talked about that too. Is when I was growing up, you had to have a driver's license.
Sure.
You had to have a driver's license. And now Keelan Harvick's winning races at 12 years old. So.
He's got his car in the Hall of Fame.
Really?
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Keelan's car is in the Hall of Fame on the
Boy.
big thing that
Yeah.
with all the cars.
What do you think he'll do when he grows up?
What I think Keelan will do?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Highway patrol?
High likelihood. He's got some pretty good, driving abilities. He's pretty smart.
Oh man.
Does good TV interviews, but I don't know. I mean, he's stock market maybe,
Maybe.
marketing.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good
I wish him
question.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
Boy, how things have changed, man.
Kid's dynamite though.
He's good.
Well coached.
He's good.
Well, this has been a good one.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to have this one done for quite a while.
Thank you.
And timing's everything. I guess you're going back to the shop. And
I'm going to Mooresville first to get my motor. Daryl's got my
Mooresville
motor,
first.
Slate's motor ready. I'm going to go get it. ProFab has got my headers done. I'm going by ProFab, Profabrication to get my headers. And my new mufflers. Got some new mufflers for this year from ProFab.
Good.
Yeah. And then get back and probably work till late again tonight. Start
Well,
again in the morning and do it again.
I think it's safe to say for all of our viewers, we're starting to get ramped back up. And we're really kind of stirring the pot this year. So you definitely want to pay attention. You definitely want to not miss anything. Last year was great. This year is going to be even better. Happy to start season 2 off with Gray Garrison. Legend, most definitely. But until next time, hope to see everybody at the Madhouse Classic. And hopefully everybody got tickets to go to the Clash also, make it a full weekend. But yeah, stay tuned. We might be back sooner than later. Just hard to tell. What's up with this guy?
Yeah, well, I'm trying.
I know
I'm
you
trying.
are.
Once we get the Bowman Gray weekend out of the way, should ease up just a little bit. So
Fair enough. All right. Well,
Yep.
until we see you all again, thank you very much for tuning in. Again, Citrusafe, thank you so much. RaceFanGear.com. We appreciate everything you do. Go there and get all the Bert's and Slate's merch. If you guys need a platform to put merch on, RaceFanGear.com would be great to handle that for you. But until we see you next time, thank you so much.